Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today?
Morning. I'm fine. How about you?
Alhamdulillah. Today I'm very good. Okay, everyone. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Intan Sapitrih. I'm a student of S.Pd PGRI Lubuk Linggau. First of all, I would like to say thank you for all my beloved audience for the participation. And this morning, I'd like to present my research proposal about enhancing listening skill using games. So let's get started. The first one is introduction. This study aims at finding out the most appropriate game for enhancing listening skill to students of the Faculty of the Economics Muhammadiyah University of Ponorogo. One technique that is considered useful for making a cozy and restful environment in the classroom and interesting for the student is by the use of one-on-one activity, which is games. Games are beneficial for motivating students and increasing their vocabulary mastery. This research used fun activity in the form of game which consists of tic-tac-toe game, running dictation game, and whispering game in listening class. And the second is review of relevant literature. In this section, there are 6 points that will be discussed. The first, the nature of listening. Listening is the basic predecessor to speaking. Basically, in studying anything or other skill in learning language, listening is the one to be the most important. There are 4 main principles regarding listening activities in the classroom. 1. Listening should be motivated rather than demand of children. 2. Within the school day, teachers should adjust the often unreasonable amounts of time that children are required to give to the teacher oral explanation, direction, and reminders. 3. Children should be good in learning to listen not only to the teacher, but to other children in the classroom. 4. Listening activities should be planned so that children are aware of the purpose to which their attention is directed. The second is the process of listening. The listening process consists of 3 primary steps. The first step is receiving the auditory input. The second step is attending to the auditory input. And the third step of the listening process is interpreting and interacting with the auditory input. The third is different types of listening skill. According to Lin 20 and 10, listening can be divided into 3 types. The first is aesthetic listening. There are 6 strategies that students can learn to use for aesthetic listening. They are predicting, creating a mental image, connecting to personal experiences, connecting to literature, noticing the power and beauty of language, and then applying knowledge of story structure. The second type of listening is aberrant listening. Some strategies can be used by students as they listen aberrant. There are categorizing information, monitoring, asking questions to clarify information, discovering the plan, note-taking, and getting class from the speaker. The third is critical listening. The purpose of critical listening is to encourage students to think critically. The next is problem in teaching listening skill. Listening has its peculiar problem which can hamper students to become a good listener. The first is the problem with sound. The second is the problem with intonation and stress. The third is the problem with the rate of delivery. The fourth is the problem with redundancy. And the fifth is fatigue. And then the next problem in learning listening skill. Students often find difficulties in learning listening skill. There are some problems in listening faced by the student in command. First is difficulty to distinguish sounds. Second is the difficulty to make inferences from the listening text. Third, the student limited vocabulary. And then the fourth is the difficulty to concentrate. And the last is assessing listening skill. In assessing listening, teachers should conduct the assessment for particular purposes. The purpose will be to influence the way in assessing listening skill. Let's move to the next slide. Games. The games in this research are tic-tac-toe game, running dictation game, and whispering game. Tic-tac-toe is a pencil and paper game for two players. The player who succeeds in placing three respective marks in a horizontal, vertical, or diagonal row wins the game. Running dictation game is an activity that can be used for any level of the group, with any number of students from 2 upwards. Running dictation game can be applied to practice the dialogues, role play, short text, grammatical structure, or anything the student need practice in or would find interesting. Whispering games is for several people to form a line and for one person to think up a phrase. Okay, the next slide about research method. First, research design. The research design of this study was classroom action research which focused on a particular group of students in a certain classroom. The classroom action research employed in this study follow Echeverria 2011 model. Second, setting and subject of research. The subject of the research were the 39 students, second semester of management major. Third, the research procedures. Referring to the procedures of action research, the researchers research the cycle. The cycle consists of 4 steps: planning, implementing, observing, and reflecting. And the last, designing research instrument. There were 3 instruments used in this study, as follows: listening test, observation checklist, and questionnaires. Okay, move to the next slide about results. Consists of finding of cycle 1 and finding of cycle 2. Cycle 1 was designed for 3 meetings. The first meeting focused on improving students' abilities using the tic-tac-toe game. The second meeting focused on the running dictation game. The third meeting was focusing on whispering game activity. The teaching and learning activities in 3 meetings of Cycle 1 worked well in general. However, there was still some problems found in the process, since Cycle 1 had not achieved the criteria of success. The second cycle was conducted. The findings of the student learning result reflected that the students had an improvement in their listening achievement. Therefore, the teaching and learning process is not necessary to be continued to the next cycle. In other words, this student could be stopped. The next slide is about discussion. Training students to listen is one of the hardest things foreign language researchers do. That is why teaching listening comprehension is a very important part of the whole teaching activities. The implementation of them as the strategy in listening class gave valuable contribution to the English language learning. The implementation of listening strategy and teaching listening made the student interest in listening subject and motivated the student to study listening. As a result, the student listening achievement improved. Therefore, games can be used in the classroom as an alternative technique for teaching listening. Okay guys, I think enough for my explanation. If you have any question, please.
Okay, Intan, I have one question for you.
Okay, Anggi, please.
Okay, my name is Intan Sapitrih. I want to ask you, why do you research using game to improve listening skills?
Okay, thank you. This is because listening is one of the language skills. Listening is a way for scholars to get tips and grasp the language. Moreover, in this mass communication era in which emphasis has been placed on oral message, our learner must be instructed to listen successfully. The researcher considered that fun activity in the form of games will be an alternative strategy in enhancing student listening skill. That is why the researcher intends to utilize game as his way of teaching listening to help students to solve their problem. Okay, this is my answer, Rengi. How about you? Do you understand?
Okay, thanks for your answer. Yeah. Thanks for your answer. Yes, I understand.
Okay, thank
Your
you.
answer.
Okay. I will conclude my presentation for today. The conclusion is, based on the research findings, it was concluded that the implementation of game in teaching listening comprehension could improve the student listening ability. This improvement could be provided by the student listening achievement and the score obtained by the students. Okay, guys, that's all my presentation for today. Thanks for your nice and great participation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.